to my channel. Let's talk about passive income in real estate investing.
It's free real estate.
And I want to be super clear to start off this video. Generally, passive income does not exist in real estate investing. And when I'm talking about buying a physical property or asset, you're not just gonna get a check in the mail.
Where's my check?
We'll be mailing them out next week, sir.
Oh, no, I want mine now.
I don't have any checks to give.
And we'll talk more about that. But first, some definitions. What is the difference between passive income or passive investing and active investing and active income? So let's dive into these topics. And before we dive in here, if you're able to give me a like on the video, greatly appreciate it. I'm inching towards 1,000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone for me. I've been working really hard on this channel for 2 years, and I'm excited to bring you guys more content in the real estate, home improvement, and DIY space. So let's talk more about active versus passive investing. Let's start with the easier definition, active investing. In active investing, you could be doing a couple things, and those things are investing your time or investing your money. Most people are investing their time to earn money, and that's where they get out of bed and they go to their 9-to-5 job and they get W-2 or 1099 or whatever type of income, and you are physically investing your talents and your brain power and your ability and trading that for money. And that's active investing because you are physically there doing things. And the second is related to investing your money. And there's an active element to investing your money as well, because you could be involved in a business and investing in that business, and that business requires you to make decisions about how that money is being utilized to better the business and grow that business.
There's always money in a banana stand.
Or you could be just investing in funds online, and that requires maintenance on a monthly or quarterly basis where you're reallocating funds and you're looking at the performance and things like that so that you can maximize growth. So you're not just sitting there and doing nothing in either scenario. You are actively doing things and using your ability and doing research and using your talents to go out and trade that time or money for additional money. Now, on the passive income side, there's a number of ways that you can truly set yourself up for incredible passive income. And I'll give you a couple examples. Think about Jerry Seinfeld.
Why is it okay for these windmills to destroy the bird population?
And he recorded 100+ episodes in the 90s. And now that is all stored digitally. There's zero maintenance on it. It is not a physical asset technically. And they can run those shows in perpetuity forever. And that has made Jerry Seinfeld a billionaire because he gets absolutely insane 6- and 7-figure checks in the mail all the time from that incredible show. Think about Michael Jordan.
What model, one of your outfits?
Now that is contractual based. And so he, in a contract, if you watched actually the recent movie Air, put in a contract that he would get a residual in perpetuity on every shoe that was sold. So he sits back and does absolutely nothing. He is also a billionaire, but he is not involved in the maintenance or the upkeep of a physical asset anymore. He just gets money in the mail. Those two examples are true passive income, and those do not exist in the real estate world when you're dealing with a physical house or multi-unit building, hotel, some type of venue, commercial property, whatever. It doesn't exist. The maintenance requirement is still there, where the passive element is effectively eliminated unless you have the systems in place, which we can talk about in a second, to get you closer to that true passive status in real estate investing. Now let's talk about why passive income is so hard to achieve in whatever line of real estate that you're in. And we'll talk about my personal experience just for a moment here. I've been running a real estate rental business for 4.5 years, and there's been absolutely nothing passive about it in that time. And generally it is not passive because of two areas. It's either the property itself or the people that are there. So let's talk about the people that are there. I've had insane tenants. I've had videos made about the craziness and the destruction that tenants have made. And you're effectively running a 24/7 business because guess what? People are alive 24/7, 365. So if something goes wrong with a tenant, you have to be there, or you have to have systems in place to help rectify that situation. So there's always this element of the unknown when you're dealing with other human beings. And then number two, the property itself. One of my properties, for example, is built in 1926. It has had a ton of work done, and I learned my lesson because I bought a 90-something-year-old property and it needed a lot of work done. So unless you're only gonna invest in new constructions that are never gonna have problems and they never need the plants watered, they never need the grass cut, those scenarios are unlikely to exist. So think about the effort that you're going to have to put in related to maintaining the people in the property and maintaining the property itself. Now, if you're someone that's looking to get into real estate rentals for the first time, you have to be cautious because there's so much misinformation on places like TikTok and even YouTube, where young people talk about, oh, I'm just gonna sit back and collect all this passive income and I'm gonna have a vault full of money very soon like Scrooge McDuck.
I just bought a giant room full of gold coins and I'm gonna dive into it like Scrooge McDuck.
And that simply doesn't exist. So like we talked about at the beginning of the video, you're gonna be investing one of two things. It's either gonna be your time, if you're gonna be doing everything yourself, and then it is absolutely not passive. The only way that you can get closer to true passive income is if you are investing more money in systems to encompass this business that you are running. And then the more systems and the more money that you're investing in this business, then you can start to remove yourself and have it become closer to that true passive income. When you think about these big names like the Dave Ramseys of the world, like Grant Cardone, these other huge multifamily and real estate owners, they are living as close as possible to that true passive income level because they have so much money and so much property that they have to have systems in place that they have built out over 30 or 40 years in their real estate careers, so that now they've elevated to a point where they don't necessarily have to deal with the day-to-day. However, if one of their buildings was on fire or there's a huge, legal issue with a tenant, you can bet that they're gonna be at least aware of it, if not personally handling it and making business decisions about that situation themselves. So keep that in mind. So here's one of my favorite recommendations. If you are finally ready to go buy that first rental property, go ahead and make that process as active as possible. Forget about the word passive for years. Put it way down the line. Make that process as active as possible. And what I mean by that is when you finally buy that property and you ink the paperwork, make sure that you are the one in selecting your tenant. And you're gonna go and walk the property and do the landscaping and trim the trees and water the plants and make sure that the maintenance is being done. If you can fix something on the property, do it yourself. If you can't, be there with the contractor as you walk across the property and walk through the house or the units so that you are present. And what happens in that scenario is you learn so much and you become handier and you become more knowledgeable and you learn more about your business. And because you're hands-on, you're physically there and you're investing your time and your effort to understand that business. And I can't tell you how much I've learned in the last 4.5 years in fixing things myself, in learning about the property and learning about working with contractors and working with tenants before I started layering in systems to help me move closer to that passive goal where I hope to be in the future. But in the meantime, I've learned so much and that knowledge is really priceless. And then once you feel like you've invested enough of your time in learning the business that you are running yourself, then you can start to layer in systems so that you can move again towards that passive status. It's truly a status because you have built out an incredible business and you have enough money and you have enough knowledge where you can then start to elevate. And so when you think about the systems that you can start layering in place to remove yourself from each of these items in these components in running a real estate business, that's where it starts to get kind of cool. And again, it's more expensive, but that's the trade-off. You're then investing more money, putting more money in the business so that you can have more free time. And that's what happens in running a successful real estate business. And when you start to get to that passive level, you start to think about what would it be like if I was to be an out-of-state owner? If I had a property in California and I lived in New York and I needed all of these systems built out because I can't physically do anything, I'm not there, it's a 6-hour plane ride away, what would you need in place to be successful in running that property? And so the things that I have that I really like are related to hiring a property management group so that they can vet the tenant for you. You don't have to tour the property by yourself. They collect the rent check. They're gonna handle an eviction if that comes up. They're gonna do a walkthrough of the property, make sure everything's good. They can do little things like making sure that the tenant is changing the air filter every 3 months. So there's all these things that you can layer in place to help remove you from that day-to-day investment where you're actively participating in the business. And there's other things like, you know, having a lawyer on retainer if needed, having someone to prep legal documents for you, who's going to be doing the annual palm tree trimming.
Ay, Dios santo.
Which is important in Arizona and pricey, and who's going to be monitoring that for you. So what happens if the O-ring, the wax seal on the toilet needs to be replaced? Do you have a contractor, a plumber that you like to use? And so you start to build out these networks, electricians and garage door people and plumbers and all of these different contractors, so that you have them on speed dial when something goes wrong, and it's really more of a press of a button. And again, you're still actively participating because you're making those phone calls. You're on the phone or on a Zoom with a property manager or a contractor trying to figure out the situation. But again, you're more removed from the situation, because in that scenario, you're just going to invest your money and let them handle it. And the cool thing that happens after you kind of master this concept of owning your first rental property, and you have all these systems built out to help in running that business for you, then you can go buy property 2 and property 3 and 4, and all you need to do is then fit them in this existing system that you've already cultivated and these relationships that you've built with these people. So it really, in theory, is not that much more work. So that's why you see these people, they go from 1 property to 100 units in a couple years, and you're like, how did they do that? It's because they built out systems. And again, they're never going to be at that true passive level where they're just ignorant to everything that's going on with their business, because they're going to still be involved, but they've built out this foundation that allows them to continually just put pieces in place and run their business effectively without incremental work. That first property is going to be a ton of work. And like I said a second ago, make it be a ton of work so that you can learn so much and take your time in running that first property, so that, again, you can just layer in these pieces later as you become more successful and you continue to grow your real estate business. All right, so to recap this video, passive income in real estate investing generally does not exist unless you are so successful already, you're just throwing money at real estate and you don't have to worry about it. But for the first time and general real estate investor like myself, like you guys, it is going to be a participatory process, an active process, and that is really good because you're going to learn so much about real estate and learn about the industry and learn about the business that you've just invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into in buying this property. So be present, be physical, do things with your own hands and figure out how to run that business successfully. And then as time goes on and you can lay your systems in place, you can then elevate and reach a level of kind of hands-offness, if you will. And that'll come over time. But again, put in some blood, put in some sweat and some tears into building your business. And I promise you it'll be successful. So thank you so much for watching this video. Until the next hot DIY or real estate topic, I'll see you later.